Hi, my name is Kyle Suggs, and welcome to my channel. And today on Informal, which is the 10th of April, we're going to talk about Candace Owens, her appearance on the Hill yesterday again, and we're going to talk about Stephen Miller, who was a political advisor to Trump, and him being called a Nazi and how silly that is, and also how the bylines from the search engines misrepresent what's going on with the actual article. I'm going to prove that in a second here. And lastly, we're talking about dirty politics dealing with Lieu, who's a congressman who basically played a clip of Candace Owens, didn't give her a chance to respond, but through the ability to the other congressmen, they were able to give her time back and let her to respond. And we're going to cover that entire clip in its entirety, and we're going to narrate our way through it. So, got a bunch to talk about, so let's get started. Okay, so I kind of mentioned about Candace Owens a minute ago here. And so with Candace, just to recap, I'm going to leave a link above of a video that I did earlier. And essentially what it is there was a House Judiciary Committee meeting where people were invited to come speak about the issue of white supremacy, nationalism, reparations, hate crimes, and so forth. She came up there and basically gave her response. And again, that link will be above. But in a nutshell, she gave them, her take on it, and they were not happy with it at all. She really, really did a good job on it. And so I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but they're trying to characterize her as a white nationalist, even though she's a black female who was once a Democrat, who now advocates for conservatism, Donald Trump. She works for actually Prager University now, because she has a show now, who is owned by a Orthodox Jew. And so she mentions that as well. I'll get into that as well. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to my next point here because I want to cover that last part. I don't want to stammer on something that's going to be done again later. And so Stephen Miller is the political advisor for President Trump. It's a picture of him right there. He's a speechwriter. He's pretty awesome. I've heard him speak in public at one of the rallies. He is a policy advisor as well. And so I just want to say something real quickly here. I did a quick search on him because I was trying to find a recent article about him being considered a Nazi, even though he's Jewish. Okay, so here's the thing. I went to Google. I'm going to do this live. I'm not going to do any jump cuts. This is going to be a live search here. I already highlighted in here. We're in Google. And I'm just going to do a quick search here on Stephen Miller Nazi. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now the second choice here, I've already gone to this article, is Ilhan Omar is right. Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. Okay, that's the piece here from the New York Magazine. All right, so then I'm going to click on this, and now we're at the New York Intelligence or whatever that is. Okay, and so now the title says, if you are defending Stephen Miller, you are an ally of anti-Semitism. Okay, so what does that have to do with the search here where it says Omar is right, Stephen Miller is a white supremacist? Well, let's go ahead. So I'm going to read the first paragraph here and kind of go through this. Okay, so it says Stephen Miller is personally responsible for the most xenophobic policies of the most xenophobic presidency in modern American history. The senior White House advisor authored the travel ban that denied a wide variety of American Muslims the right to be visited by their overseas relatives. He implored the president to adopt policy of family separation at the southern border, which is not true, arguing that Central American families would be less likely to seek asylum in the United States if the U.S. government gained a reputation for subjecting their children to psychological torment. The public hated this policy, and the judiciary struck it down. Meanwhile, the Trump administration proved itself incapable of competently administering the program. The U.S. government ended up losing track of thousands of migrant children and allowing others to be illegally adopted by U.S. citizens without their birth parents' consent. So they go on and on about this stuff here. And so, all right, so the whole child separation deal is a whole separate issue. And what they're saying here is mischaracterization of it. It's a policy that goes way back to Bill Clinton, to Obama, and so forth. I'm going to leave a link of a blog post that I put out on, I think, last year. It's called The Separation of Minors of Legal Immigrants. It's well researched. I give documents at the bottom here with the Flores decision, 1997, the Reauthorization Act of 2008, and the 2016 Flores versus Lynch. and also link to Ben Shapiro's podcast where he actually covers this as well. And so it's thoroughly laid out there. It's been tested on many occasions for people who say they're authorities on this matter. This is the real deal. This is what's going on. And to characterize Trump as being anything other than upholding the law that was legally there, that was already implemented there before him, is just a mischaracterization, unfair, and very biased from the media. And so my point is, when you're characterizing a search engine in Google, when you're looking for him being called a Nazi, even though he's Jewish, from a person Ilhan Omar, who is basically a person who has said immensely anti-Semitic comments about people, and yet you're going to have her say that Stephen Miller is a white supremacist, and then back her without calling her on her anti-Semitism, and have the party who basically said it was okay in the vote they had a few weeks ago. And so this whole thing is just totally a mess, and I don't know how they can get away with this type of journalism. And so I just want to put that out there again. This article will be there at the bottom. You can check it out. But that's my whole point here. I mean, you just can't trust anything this media is saying, and whatever. So now this brings us to Congressman Ted Lieu from the 33rd District of California. And he posed a question to Candace Owens, but without giving her a chance to respond, he basically says, you know what? Well, I'll let you see for yourself. We're going to talk about this clip and in its entirety. So I'm going to bring this up, and I want you to take a look at it, and I'm going to interject where I think it's important for you to know key points. So let's start this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In congressional hearings, the minority party gets to select its own witnesses. And of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler.
This person behind her, right, that's her grandfather.
You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. Problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hirschenoff. Ms. Owens said, quote, if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?
It does, Mr. Lieu. I know that Ms. Owens distanced herself from those comments later, but we expressed great concern over the original comments.
Great.
Okay, so they're going to go on some more of this. I'm going to get right into Candace Owens' talk here. She actually is interrupted by Jerry Nadler, who is the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. He's the same guy who actually defended Occupy Wall Street against the police when they actually were going to, or they're causing problems, and he wanted to have the police stand down when the situation was getting crazy in New York. So he interrupts, and you'll see that right here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, I'm sorry. We just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Lieu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
Witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
If you listen to behind it, you hear them telling Congressman Nadler that that's not what she said. So, dude, chill out.
Said at all. You didn't listen to what I said. May I continue?
Please.
As I said, he is assuming that black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully extracted, he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
Thanks, Mrs. Owens, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Okay, so with that, that's it. That's the end of the clip. And so what Candace does brilliantly is she throws it back at them. She said, you know what, I sat on a plane for 8 hours to go to, I believe 18 hours, was it 18 hours, whatever, a long time to go to Israel, and yet not a single Democrat was a part of that delegation to go over there. And yet you're going to call me the racist, the white nationalist. And so, you know, it's really also good because she actually said she's offended personally. And I like the fact that the Republicans tag team to help her out there, because Congressman Lieu was not going to give her a chance to respond. What he wanted to do, and this is what I call this dirty politics. He wanted a soundbite to get him saying on the record what his opinion, and get her statement out of context on the record, and then have that be a clip that goes around, that goes viral, to say, hey, this is what we're going to use for our messaging going forward. But she was not allowing that. But if it wasn't for the Republicans to actually help her there, she would not have gotten a chance to speak on that. And this guy here, a wrestling hauler, I believe he is from Pennsylvania. He was thrown his time over from another congressman, and he gave her the chance to respond. And so I thought that was really, really good. The Republicans were actually on the job there. They did not let that become something that was going to be a plus for the Democrats. And so Lieu basically sat there saying, you know what, you guys got me, I got nothing. So kudos to all of you guys. Kudos to Candace. And so for this edition of Informal, I'm going to cut it short here, and I'm going to say, if you guys like this content on this channel where I take culture, TV, and movies and filter it right, then please consider hitting like and subscribe on that bell icon below. And I will see you in the next video. And if you like, please check out some of the videos I have above.